Welcome to One More Hour, the podcast all about backyard ultras, timed races, and the ultra running mindset of going one more. If you're an ultra runner, a trail or ultra runner curious about the format, or just someone who loves to test your limits, you're in the right place. I'm Jaci Wilson, an ultra marathon and marathon run coach, trail runner, outdoor enthusiast, and backyard ultra expert. On this show, I'll bring you stories, strategies, and conversations with runners, race directors, experts, and more to help you go further, dig deeper, and keep going when everything in you says stop. Thank you so much for joining me for some yards. Let's get started with one more. Welcome back to the One More Hour podcast, an insider's guide to backyard ultras, timed races, and the ultra mindset of one more. Today's guest is fresh off of getting his silver ticket to Big's Backyard Ultra in October. So I am so excited to welcome Jeff Walker to the podcast. Hey Jeff,
Thanks.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. First of all, congratulations on getting your ticket.
Thank you very much.
How are you recovering?
Well, I had my first run yesterday. I purposely told myself I was going to take an extended 10 to 14 days off. And I made it 10, so
Awesome.
So yeah, last weekend it was like 75 degrees here, and it was really hard not to head out for a run. But
I bet.
My wife was good at telling me, just relax, it's going to be okay.
Yeah. Well, at least you could be outside still, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We walked and we did some other things. So
awesome. And I saw on Instagram that you officially got your invite for
I
Ultra
did.
sign
Yeah.
up. Awesome.
Yeah. So
It's
that was
real
great.
now, right?
It is officially real. It was kind of, my stomach. I felt some butterflies there once I got that. Yeah.
Awesome. So before we dive into Backyard Ultras and also Queeny, can you just give us a quick rundown of who you are, where you live, what you do for work?
Yeah. So I'm a teacher, fourth grade, and then I live in Noblesville, Indiana. So central Indiana, just north of Indianapolis, very flat, but it's a great town. And I'm just recently married, 2 months tomorrow. Yeah, thank you. And so I have 2 stepchildren as well. So it's my first time, being a dad. So kind of a lot of new things going on all at once. I moved up to Noblesville in May, and started a new teaching job in August. So
Awesome.
A lot of newness, but a lot of great. It's been great. So.
Yeah. So what do your 2 new kids think of your running?
Okay, so they haven't experienced it a lot. So they got to go. They experienced the local backyard here in Noblesville, Prairie on Fire, which is a great one. It's pancake flat, perfect course. It could go really far. But they experienced that one this past year.
Okay.
And they got to see, see me running in and all that. And they said they wanted to stay longer, but I mean, they're 8 and 11, and it's like, you don't really want to stay. I know that. So they know that, I run a lot and that it's important to me, and they like to tell people how much I run too. So, I mean, I know it's leaving some kind of a mark on them. I don't know what mark that is, but.
Yeah, it's always fun to see kids' reactions to the running and what they think about it and the comments that they make to others about the mileage or all the crazy things that we do.
Yeah. They assume I'm like the greatest runner ever, and I'm like, no. It's
So where does running fit into your life? Like, how did it come to be?
Yeah, so I ran in high school. I wouldn't have run in high school if it wasn't for my brother. So he was 3 years older. So he was a senior when I was a freshman, and we played football growing up, and I was wrestling was my main sport probably. But he decided his senior year he was going to join the cross country team just to get in better shape for wrestling. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm running cross country too. Best decision I ever made. I mean, I wasn't great at it. I was just like borderline varsity, I think. But those guys on my cross country team in high school kind of are my closest high school friends I have to this day. And had a great coach. And we started off horrible. We beat one team my freshman year, and then we made it to state my senior year. So it was just this big growth. We grew together as a team. I didn't run in college. I ran off and on in college on my own. Um, and then it really kind of came to a head when I was in my late 20s. I gained a bunch of weight, wasn't exercising. Um, I still remember the story. Um, Going to IKEA in Cincinnati, Ohio, and going into one of the the display bathrooms, and there was a bathroom scale on there, and I stepped on it, and it said I weighed 197 pounds, which I am maybe 5'6". I'm a pretty short guy, and I remember thinking, well, that's not. There's no way that's true. Um, and I come home later that evening. I step on the scale in my own bathroom, which I hadn't touched in a long time, and it said 198. So I was like, well, I guess that was true. And I kind of decided right then and there that running was going to be something I was going to use. Now, I have that personality that I'm going to try to push myself as far as I can. And even back then, that's what I enjoyed was like long runs. So I remember like buying a headlamp that week. And then that weekend, I had this goal that I was going to go out and run like 40 miles on a Saturday night.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah. I don't recommend it. Did not make it 40. I made it 26. I thought a marathon was good enough.
Yes.
And I fell asleep on a park bench and woke up sometime around sunrise and like hobbled home. And that started my return to running, I guess I would say. And I've kind of been running fairly like frequently since then. So that has been for the last 15 years. I've been running somewhat frequently. COVID, I kind of took another downtime. I planned on doing a lot of running, and it kind of fell through. But I've kind of always been running since right after COVID. I've been running pretty consistently.
And that's really when some of the backyard ultras came into play, right?
That was my first race back from COVID, was a backyard. I had never heard of a backyard at the time. Excuse me. And so I saw it. It was Ode de Laz Backyard in Michigan. And I was like, well, that seems like a cool concept that I could, go as far as I could. It wasn't just a point-to-point and I had to go try to run fast. It was more of like I saw the mental aspects of it, and that intrigued me. So I did that one. Made it 30 yards, I believe, like 125 miles. Cramped up. And had to quit that one. But it kind of ignited, I could see me being or doing a good job at this type of race. And so it didn't come instantly. I didn't have success, but I felt like I was close enough that I could be successful at a backyard.
So you mentioned that it was more the mental side that intrigued you, which is interesting because you talk to a lot of runners and they're intrigued by not having a cap on their mileage goal, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what about the mental side? Like, what were you maybe hoping to get out of it or looking to get out of it from the mental side?
Yeah, even that very first one, I had no idea how far I would go. I remember I ran my first yard and it was like 41 minutes on some pretty technical trails and everything. I was like, I'm going to have plenty of time to rest. And quickly learned that, hey, everyone else is way back there, and last year's winner is about 10 minutes behind me. So that changed that whole thing. But I did know that I wanted to get to a point where, I wanted to quit. My body or my mind wanted to quit, and I wanted to see if I could push past that and how far I could push back that. So that always intrigued me, that mental part of it. And it still does to this day. You have so much more than you think. So that's really what draws me to the backyard.
I think it's fascinating when you approach it from those different standpoints of how far can I actually go, and both physically but also mentally of am I actually done or not? Yeah.
And I sort of think, I don't think I've ever actually found the physical limit. Anytime I've backed out of a backyard, and I think most people probably feel this way, there's more that they could have done. But you let the mind get to you a little bit, and you can talk yourself into just about anything.
Yeah. The mind it can tell you so many lies, but it sounds like the truth in that moment. Even though
for sure.
You're also like this is not true, but like, I don't know, sometimes it just consumes you of this internal
Yeah.
fight.
And that's where I think like the progression I've made, a lot of that, I felt some of the same things that I felt in that first or second backyard. I felt that at Queeny, but I've learned how to like push past that, and it's not even that big of a deal. Like I've gone 100 and almost 150 miles past that. Mm-hmm. So like you feel some of those same things, and then you kind of realize that they're not as big of a deal as you're making them out to be in that moment, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've hit 200 miles twice in the backyard, correct?
Yeah.
So in October of, I guess that would be last year, 2025. That's when you hit 204 at Ohio.
That was March.
March?
Yeah.
Okay, March. What do you think? I mean, I would say that was kind of a turning point for you, right? That was a bigger bump in mileage.
It was, yeah. So that was with Harvey kind of pulling me along there. So he kind of changed my outlook on just backyards in general. I was very, I guess, like individual focused and like focused on myself and just trying to keep my mind in it and keep it together. Not that I would be very friendly to other runners and everything, but I wasn't like going out of my way to like help others. Mm-hmm. And then I saw him doing that to me, and I could tell it made him feel good helping me, and so he totally changed. So ever since then, I've been very positive with other runners and just joking and talking and offering help if I can and things like that. And it helps me. It's like a performance enhancer for me as well. Mm-hmm. But that was a big step up. And I think my training got more consistent last year heading into there, and it's kind of stayed where I've been very consistent weekly mileage without taking too much time off, and it's kind of just I've built on those two races for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. What does your training look like? I know you're not a run streaker, correct?
I am not, no. In fact, I looked, like, I don't know, maybe a couple months ago to see what my longest streak was. It was, I think, since I've gotten Strava, which was at least 10 years ago, my longest streak has been 26 days. So,
okay. Wow,
yeah,
not even a month then.
Yeah, I haven't made it a month. So, yeah, I'm not afraid to take days off. I've kind of settled on taking about every 10th day off or so. My training has been pretty heavy mileage. I would say in like December, January, February, leading up to Queeny, I probably averaged just above 100 miles a week.
Okay.
Or right at. My big week, I think, was 117. So I do quite a bit of running. I do a lot of pretty low effort runs, I guess you would say. Mm-hmm. I keep my heart rate very, very low.
Are you on the treadmill, outside, on the trail, on the pavement?
Outside 98% of the time, mostly pavement. That's just what I have. It's a lot of bike paths. I can step right out my door and I could head 4 different directions on bike paths. So it's nice, but it's also very redundant on what you're running on.
Yeah.
Not a lot of hills around me, which we can get into. It's one of the things that worried me about Queeny a little bit. But yeah, a lot of flat running. I need to start doing some more strength training. I did a little bit heading into Queeny. I'm 43. I need to, I got to do that. And I have ridden a bike a little bit, but it's not something I like. So, yeah, we'll see.
Do you think that the higher mileage weeks are a requirement to going as far as you have?
I don't. I really don't. So I think they kind of benefit me just the way I'm a very like I don't know, how would you describe me? Very sturdy. I'm pretty short, stocky. I'm a former wrestler, and people notice that you used to wrestle, right? I'm like, yeah I did. So I think I can handle pretty high mileage, and so I get the most out of it, I feel like.
Yeah.
I think even I could back off, and I think I will going forward. I neglected like speed at all. Heading into Queeny, I didn't really do anything too fast, and I had the mindset that I was going to kind of work on it, because my thinking with that is, the faster you can run, the easier the slower paces are going to feel.
Yeah.
So I think heading into October, once I start getting back into running this spring, I'm going to do some more speed work, kind of change up my training a little bit. And then as summer comes in, kind of go into more ultra-specific training. And then as we get closer to October, then more of the backyard specifics, really slower, throwing in walking and things like that. So, yeah, I think I'm going to get back into some marathon-type training. I'm not the fastest person, but I have really neglected that part of my running.
Yeah.
So
yeah, kind of just like also raising that ceiling so you can continue to increase the fitness.
Exactly. And I think, I was throwing in faster yards to get some sleep at night and things like that. So if that can feel easier, then that's going to only benefit the overall total you get. So that's the thinking. So we'll see. I don't have a coach. I've never had a coach. And I'm not good at planning things. So maybe we'll write a few things down and see what sticks.
Hey, you have your race planned, right? That's on the calendar.
Yeah, I got the race planned. So that's something.
Yes. So where was your head at going into Queeny? And what were you thinking about in terms of goals?
Yeah, so I mean my goal was to be the last person standing. That was, I mentally, as I was training, I was thinking about that a lot, almost too much. I was like, am I thinking about this? Am I putting too much pressure on myself, or am I making this a bigger deal than it is? Bigs is a big deal to me. Like, I did not think I would ever have an opportunity to run there. Maybe last year at Ohio, after the 204, I thought, okay, if things shake out right, and if training goes perfectly, I could somehow sneak in. So it was a big deal for me. I felt confident though, because I didn't miss any time at all during my training. Unless I took a planned day off, I was feeling pretty good and fresh and stacking the miles. I had one slip on the ice and I ended up with a concussion, so I had to take a few days off for that. But that was the only down week I had. Everything else went perfect to plan. So going in, I felt confident. I purposely did not check the start list. I didn't want to know. I didn't want to stress myself out about who was going to be there.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I didn't, because Stephanie and Nick and all that, I would have stressed myself out a little too much.
Yeah.
So I had that, but I leading in, I felt like I could push myself to get to that point. And even at the start, I was I just want to get to that point where there's 5 of us left, and we're all pushing.
Yeah.
Just takes a while to get there.
Yeah. Were you also excited knowing that, yes, because it is a silver ticket race, there are going to be others there that will help me go even further?
Yeah. I pretty much knew I was going to set a PR in that race. There's no way not to, unless I got injured.
Yeah.
Which thankfully, knock on wood, has, I've not really had too many injuries to deal with in my running journey at all. So I felt good about that aspect. It was just whether, someone was going to be able to I was going to mentally break before someone else, I felt was going to be what would happen if I wasn't going to win.
Yeah. Yeah. So in prior backyards, what's going through your head towards the end, and what are kind of some of those thoughts that ultimately lead to being done?
Yeah. So one thing I tend to do, and I think this is pretty common with a lot of backyarders, is I project way too much into the future. I'm thinking about, okay, my first few backyards, how many runners are left. I'm counting them on out and back sections. I'm looking at other runners and trying to judge how much they have left and how they look, which you watch some backyards or run some backyards, you quickly know that someone could look like a zombie and run for 10 more hours, or they could look great and be done in 2. So I really tried to just focus on myself. Sorry about that. Focus on myself, and if those thoughts, and they did creep up, like I don't know if you could ever stop them from creeping up, but I would just like audibly tell myself either shut up, Jeff, or stop it, Jeff, and like stop thinking about that way. And it really worked most of the time. I would stop. It would stop me from thinking about it, and I would just focus on the hour I was in. And that was kind of, I don't really have mantras, but that was kind of what was in my head, was just like, just focus on this hour. And that's what I would say, focus on the hour. Because every hour, this is the first time I've ever had like a plan heading into a backyard for paces and food and things like that, and massage and sleep. And so I knew heading into every hour what I was supposed to do. And I really think that helped me stay focused on just myself. And mentally stay in it, and not like, I didn't even have anywhere close where I was like, well, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this. I felt pretty even-keeled and straightforward the whole time. So it was kind of a perfect scenario for me.
That is awesome. So I was following Nick's Instagram stories, because he's posting during races.
He's videoing the whole time. It was great.
Yeah. I was following Sam. She was posting all of Stormy's content, and so I knew Nick was having an ankle problem. I knew Stormy was about done. What were those last few yards like? And was there any like, come on, Nick, like, come on, Stormy, or was there like that internal pull between let them be done and also like, no, like, let's go further?
Yeah, there was definitely a little bit of both. So Stormy, I had no idea he looked great. So I didn't know.
He's glad about it.
Yeah, I did not know. In fact, I had talked to him. I ran with him, I think, the first half of the loop, maybe 2 before he dropped.
Okay.
And he seemed fine. And maybe it was a poker face, but I think he's just, that's the way he is. He's very stoic. But we were joking with each other, and he seemed fine. So I thought he looked great all day. So I thought, the whole event. Nick, I thought, was actually going to drop like 100 miles earlier. He when he started having his ankle issue, because he dealt with it for a while. I thought he was going to drop, but then once Stormy dropped, Nick just got reinvigorated, I feel like. And so him and I did kind of talk when it was just down to us two. Let's see how far this can go. And so we ran together for a couple laps, but then it was like, okay, I'm going to go sleep, so I'm going to run a faster lap. And so I left him there, and then he decided to go faster on the next one. So we didn't run together then. And then I think after that, he was like, my ankle is hurting. So it kind of happened quickly. It was a blur. He said, I think this is going to be my last yard. So I ran that one. And I was like, well, I'm not going to believe it mentally until I actually see it. So we came back, and he's like, yeah, I'm done. He's like, I've got a 100-miler in 2 weeks. I can't injure this anymore. So that's when I knew, I just had to do one more yard, which that yard was, I was talking to the race director the other day, and I was like, I got to the halfway point of that last yard, and it was the slowest I'd ever been the entire, and I had run some 56-minute yards during the day or whatever, and I said, I don't know if I was just mentally trying to take it in, and I was just relaxed. But I got to that halfway point, and I was like, I kind of need to pick this up, or if I stay this pace, it's going to be close. And she said, yeah, I was kind of nervous too. I expected you a lot sooner. But I made it with plenty of time. But it was, I had to pick it up at the end to get there. Yeah.
But not mentally struggling or anything. You're just kind of
in the moment. Yeah, I think it was all real at that time.
Yeah.
It was all, I should have just said, I'll think about it after this lap. But I was trying to take it all in, thinking about Biggs, thinking about the last 3 days and what it all entailed. And all the training, my wife and how big of a help she was. She's gotten me so organized when it comes to all my food and gear and clothing and all that. She has helped me out a ton. So can't stress that. So it was just an emotional time. I mean, these things make me emotional anyway. For like the week after, I'm like hugging everybody, telling them how much I love them. So I was just starting early out there. I think I was just loving myself out there for that first half of the loop, and then kind of came in strong after that.
Yeah, awesome. So your wife, she was crewing you at the race.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any other crew members?
I did. I had a friend, and my uncle also came and helped. So I had 3. Yeah.
Okay. Have you always had crew?
I did one backyard without crew, but it was one that I kind of I knew I had like a deadline. I was only going to be able to run till like 10 a.m. on the next morning, so I just toughed it out. It was horrible though. I did not like coming back to no one being there at all. Yeah. It was just kind of, yeah, it was not fun. So I don't recommend it, but I know it can be done, but yeah. I don't think I'm ever going to try that again.
So what role does crew play for you? Are you someone who still has to like remind yourself that, okay, they're here to do like everything for me? Or are you sitting back and like, yeah, this is awesome?
I would say in the past when it's just been my wife, like I've still kind of had that, like letting her like do everything for me. But with 3 there, like they're helping, like I was fine, I think, to let it go. I've never had 3 people. But it's perfect because they take care of everything. They knew the plan. We printed it off. They knew how many calories. They just basically handed me food and I ate it, and they filled my bottles. They massaged me. They changed my shoes when I needed those. I mean, they knew what to do. They've all been around backyards or have run them themselves. So, yeah, they kind of knew. I was able to turn my brain off when I got in, basically. So, awesome. Definitely helpful.
Yeah, definitely. And having a plan too going into it. You said this was your first race, actually having a plan.
Yeah, for sure. I've always been just kind of like by feel. I would maybe have, okay, I kind of want to finish around this time, but I had, somewhat specific paces, and I had certain hours where I knew I was running this pace because we were doing this when I got back, whether that be massage or soaking my feet or changing clothes or eating a bigger meal or something like that. So I knew exactly what the plan was. No, I didn't know if the plan was a good one or not, but yeah. I knew what
clearly something worked.
Yeah, I knew what I came up with, and I think the fact that I had a plan definitely just it left there was no guesswork out there. Mm-hmm. It was all planned out, obviously, and we just stuck to it and never had to really change it, except we had the 3-hour delay that first night where we had lightning and storms and things like that. So that threw a wrench into it, but we just kind of augmented it a little bit and went from there.
What did you choose to do? Were you sleeping during that 3-hour time frame?
I slept for about 2.5 of that 3 hours. So
Did you actually sleep with the storm?
I did.
Wow.
I went into our minivan and slept in the back. And then my buddy who was there crewing me had a pair of Normatec boots. I've never worn them before. But he slid those things on, and I went to sleep with those on. I woke up expecting just to be stiff, sore. But honestly, I woke up and I was like, I feel pretty good, actually. So, yeah, the sleep definitely didn't hurt. And this was the first backyard I was able to really sleep. Not just then, but like night 2, night 3, I got sleep as well. So, like my 204, there was 0 seconds of sleep that day, or those days. But this one, for some reason, it clicked. And I don't know if it was because I had it written down on part of my plan that I was going to sleep. But usually that anxiety of hearing the whistles telling you to get back to the corral just can't do it. But it seemed to work this time.
Awesome. What was your sleep strategy? Like, were you wanting to sleep every third lap or second?
Yeah, so it was... I planned every third.
Okay.
So I would try to run like anywhere from a 46 to a 48 minute lap.
Okay.
Try to get 10 minutes. There were a couple times where I ran a faster one, slept some, then ran a slower one, and then that next one was supposed to be a slower one as well, and I decided like halfway through the loop that hey, I'm going to go a little faster, try to get 5 minutes because I felt like I could. So I did change the plan a little bit just to try to get a little more sleep, and I think it was beneficial as well. But yeah, it was normally every third, and then maybe I would throw a little 5-minute one every once in a while.
Okay, awesome. And what about nutrition? What was your plan with nutrition?
Drink a lot of ginger ale. So that was like my go-to, like when I was at the tent in between loops, like I was drinking ginger ale a lot. Out on the course, I was drinking Tailwind, so either 1 or 2 scoops of that each hour, so that's either 100 or 200 calories there. And then mashed potatoes, a lot of rice pudding. That was new to me, but it just looked good in the grocery store the night before. So rice pudding.
The night before. So was that part of the plan?
Okay, so that I told you I'm not really good at plans, but I mean, in my eyes, it was like, hey, I don't want to load all this up and drive to St. Louis. We'll just go to the grocery store the night before. So we literally were at the grocery store at like 9:30 the night before. It worked. Like there weren't a lot of people there, so we just got to walk down the aisles and find everything we wanted. But so rice pudding was big. Gummy bears, like 10 gummy bears is 100 calories. So I grabbed a handful every time I left the tent, probably.
Yeah, they're super easy.
Yeah, you can just snack on those the first mile or so. Cereal, like Cocoa Krispies. That was the first time I've ever tried cereal, but it worked really well, especially at night. It just kind of seemed good. And
so
then
was that just something that looked good at the grocery store again?
It was something that looked good, and really, mashed potatoes is a staple I do every time. And I don't think that'll ever change. Like when it's cold out at night, warm mashed potatoes, they're just easy to swallow. Mm-hmm. Cereal, rice pudding, and then Rice Krispie treats. I got tired of those after day 2. I think I probably had close to 18 to 20 of those, and they got to where I couldn't even imagine sticking another one in my mouth.
So you're not eating the leftovers? Your kids are?
Yeah, they're eating those. I'm eating some of the other stuff, but they're eating those. And then I buy like the little Ensure 8-ounce meal replacement shakes.
Yeah.
It's like 350 calories in 8 ounces. So, like if you need something quickly, or if you got behind on calories, like that's just a great way to do that. But we were doing, my goal was at least 300 calories an hour. And my low was 300. My high got up to like 650, and that was not good. That was too much. That was my worst yard, was after eating that.
Did you have more of a meal then? Or what were you eating then?
It was bad planning on my cruise, mine and my cruise, bad planning there. So I had like a Chick-fil-A grilled chicken sandwich, but then I threw in like half of one of those meal replacement shakes on top of it, and they didn't mix well. Yeah. Like it honestly felt like I was going to vomit, like that whole yard. And so that was really my toughest time, where I'm like, well, if this sticks around, that was the only time I ever felt like, if this sticks around, can I do this? Can I push through this? Mm-hmm. But it went away. In fact, I think my very next yard after that was my fastest yard.
So you finally processed it.
Yeah, I planned on getting sleep, so it was my fastest yard. But yeah, I think my average calories per hour came out to around 450 calories an hour, which is more than I kind of thought I would do. But I mean, I think I will try to stick somewhere around there in the future.
So is your wife writing all this down, and then are you going to take this kind of going forward on, this is what my numbers were, this is what I want to do going forward?
Yeah, and we may tweak it a little bit here or there, and depending on weather, I think that would be a big, like if it was really hot, I don't know if you could do as many calories. Yeah. But yeah, they tracked, I think they missed a couple hours here or there, but they wrote down how much fluid and how many calories, and my pace for each lap, so we can kind of go off and judge. Okay, I had this many calories and I ran this fast with this much fluid. Yeah, so we can kind of judge what worked, what didn't work.
What was the weather like for you? I know some like depending on where runners were coming from, it felt good. Other people were like, "Oh, it's super hot for me." So what was the weather like for you?
So it got up to like 78 on day one.
Okay.
So to me, like, we had plenty of days below zero here in Indiana this winter. My warmest temperatures of running were probably in the 40s leading in. So I knew 78 was going to feel like 90 to me.
Yep.
So it felt hot. I wore an ice bandana for a good chunk of Friday, and ran my slowest yards on Friday that first day. I walked every downhill and every uphill on day one, which meant I had to run a little faster than I maybe would have on the flats. But I honestly think that was a big deal as to why I lasted as long as I did. There's a big paved downhill at the beginning of the loop, very steep, and everybody was just like kind of bombing down that thing, jogging down it, and I'm like,
oh boy,
I hit that thing and I just walked. I was literally the last person probably at the mile marker most laps on day one, but I honestly think that's what I had to do.
Yeah.
The hills weren't something I was used to, and I knew that was going to be something that could shorten my race if I didn't play it safe.
Yeah, definitely. Especially in that first day, protecting your quads for 24 hours from now.
Yeah, and I did end up running it a few times, but only that hill only a few times, and that was only when I wanted to run a really fast loop to get maybe a more significant sleep.
Okay.
But every other time, I just walked it and watched everybody run away from me. Which still, even though it's a backyard, you still have that, oh, they're so far away, I need to catch up. Yeah. You still get that urge.
Yep.
I had to fight that, yeah.
Was there much shade on the course?
In the middle part, there was.
Okay.
So at the beginning, it was pretty open, and then mile 3 was really open. So it was kind of raised up on a flat gravel. It was gravel trail to run on. It was totally open, and then it was pretty shaded. So I'd say well over half of it was shaded. Okay. Probably 60% of it was shaded.
Okay. And then this storm rolls in. You guys are paused for 3 hours, but then it's still storming when you start again, right?
It is definitely. It was like just as bad when we started back up, honestly. Yeah, there were some lightning strikes during those first 2 laps back that, I mean, they shook the ground. You could feel it. It scared you a little bit, but you're like, I joked that I was like, I'm pretty short, so I'm assuming it's going to strike someone taller than me.
Were you running with Nick at that time?
I should have been. I made sure to stay away from Stephanie, though. I told her that. I was like, I stayed away from you because you're shorter than me.
So, okay, so it's downpouring for a few hours. Are you staying in the same clothes because it's still raining? Are you changing?
I changed my shirt and jacket every time I came in for about 3 hours until it stopped.
Okay.
Luckily, that was a great purchase. I purchased a pair of like Gore-Tex glove liners.
Oh yeah. That
totally kept my hands dry. So that was great. I still haven't found an awesome rain jacket. It goes through everything that I've bought. So I don't know if I need to buy like a $300 rain jacket, but I did the $150 rain jacket. It didn't work.
Yeah, I don't know if you can. I don't know if money can buy a good rain jacket, because then I feel like you're way too hot because it's keeping all that moisture in from your sweat.
I almost just put on one of the cheap plastic ponchos that I have as emergency at one point, but I'm like, it's just going to make me sweat. So if the forecast would have been worse, where it was going to pour more and more, I think I would have been a little more worried, but it was showing that at least my crew kept telling me that, hey, it's going to be done around 7 in the morning, so once you get to there, it'll be dry for the foreseeable future. So I was having flashbacks to Ohio last year with Harvey, where it poured. We probably got about 5 inches in about a 4-hour period. Like it was, the start-finish corral was under about 6 inches of water for the rest of the race. So, and that one was cold, and I was shaking, and I couldn't stay dry, and I was having those kind of flashbacks, but we were able to keep it pretty positive and change clothes and stay dry enough. I wasn't comfortable for sure, but it was. I would get dry enough when I got back to the tent, and then it would be cold when I got finished the loop, and then we would just change jackets, change shirts, and do it again.
How were your feet?
Not a single blister. Like I said, the race director was like, "What would you change about this race?" And I really had a hard time coming up with something because really things just kind of clicked and went really well. I mean, my feet generally don't have too many issues. Like I've never lost a toenail. I rarely get blisters, but after a backyard, usually I have something. I'll have a blister on the tip of a couple of my toes or somewhere. But I came away from this one, and I will say thank you to your podcast with the foot care
Tanya?
podcast you did, Tanya. I listened to that.
Awesome.
Wish I would have listened to it a little sooner because I would have started doing some of her recommendations a little sooner as far as just preparing your feet. Mm-hmm. But I never have taped my feet. I didn't tape them here. But I did, massage my calluses and with, squirrel's nut butter and for weeks leading up to it. And I think it helped because,
awesome.
Yeah, they had that achy feeling that they always have, but... Yeah, not a blister or anything like that. So.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. You'll have to let her know that because she
I
loves hearing
should.
those stories.
Yeah.
Let's see. Where do I want to go from here? So, I guess off that note, with not being able to really think of anything that you would change, because it seems like everything really went really well for you. What happens for the next race when things do not go as well?
Yeah.
Like hopefully they do go as well.
Sure.
But what happens when something like unexpected comes up? Like how do you adjust and adapt to that and keep your mindset moving in the right direction?
Yeah. And that's a great question. And I think it does become harder. If you had a great race where everything went well, it's going to be harder to adjust when things don't go well. Mm-hmm. Like it's just human nature, I feel like.
Yeah.
But I think what I will have to do, because I don't expect it to go perfectly every time. I hope this is something I can carry forward and take some of the things I've done and it's going to go well enough. But I think you have to just know that it's not going to be perfect. And if you have that mindset that, hey, something's going to go wrong and you've got to have to solve it, like that's what ultra running is anyway, right? You're solving problems most of the time. Yep. I didn't have a lot of problems to solve this time, but every other race I've run, I have. So just maybe look at this as maybe an outlier. I'm hoping it's not. But I can't expect every race to go perfectly. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just having the mindset that it's not going to be perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you get bored out there?
No. I don't ask me what I think about because I don't know what I think about either. But in a backyard, I think it's harder to get bored because there's always people around you.
Yeah.
And so you're always talking to people, and I think maybe, and then once it gets down to where you're not running with people all the time, when there's only a few people left, I think you're too much, at least for me, I'm into the moment that I'm not thinking I'm bored at that time.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm really tired. I want to sleep.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really get bored. No.
Do you listen?
I really enjoy running.
Do you listen to music or podcasts or anything?
I would say maybe a third of my loops at night.
Okay.
I'll be listening to something. Sometimes music, sometimes podcast. It's usually a podcast unless I'm really tired, and then I'll put music on. Okay. Yeah.
So you're pretty social out there. You're talking to different people.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, and I think I try to make it a point to do that as well. It does help it go faster. Yeah. I mean, a loop can fly by if you're having a conversation with someone.
Yeah.
And there were so many people who were like, "Man, I was struggling, but that loop went so fast, and thank you for talking," and that sort of thing. So, it helps them, it helps me. So I'm gonna talk.
Yeah. Well, and I think even right after the start of the race, you can talk for the first 12 hours, and you don't even realize that you ran 50 miles.
50 miles, no.
It's like, we're just out here having fun, and you can talk to someone different every loop. So I just love that part of it. I
always joke with my crew. It's like, I don't know about you. I'm sure it's different for them, but for me, like a day flies by in a backyard.
Yeah.
Like, it goes by so fast. I'm sure it's totally different for them. They're waiting for 50 minutes and then, they're in action for about 10. But for me, like, a day goes like this. These 251 miles went by. Like, I joke, like, it's part of 3 days that I ran, but it really just seems like one solid day of running is what it seemed like.
Yeah.
Really hard to pinpoint individual yards and things like that unless something major happened. So it does. It goes by really fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you looking at your watch much? Are you keeping track of what yard you're on at all?
I had zero idea. Once I got to like yard 7, I had no idea where we were.
Yeah.
I don't turn on my watch. I just look at the time function.
Yep.
So it wouldn't last a day. I mean, I think it would last about 7 hours. I have an old watch, so it's not worth turning on. But no, I prefer. I think not to know what we're on. Mm-hmm. Now you'll hear things every now and then. Oh, this is 100 miles, or this is whatever. But I had no clue.
Yeah.
When I finished, I didn't know how many miles I had. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. But I take a similar approach. Like, I'm not paying attention to what yard it is. I'm following my nutrition and everything that I planned out, but I'm not really paying attention to time other than when sunrise and sunset are coming.
Yeah.
But I like that approach of it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't matter. It just matters how far you make it, and worrying about what mile you're on isn't going to help you make it any farther. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, what do you think this race kind of taught you about yourself?
The one thing it taught is that maybe I should be more of a planner, because it seemed to work. I am not a planner in life at all. I need to do better at that. I'm a pretty good planner as a teacher, but when it comes to everything else, like I kind of just go by feel, and it all seems to work out. But yeah, I do think it's taught me to be more of a planner, think things through a little bit. Like, have a method for why you're doing things. Don't just do something because someone else is doing it in a backyard. Mm-hmm. So kind of think independently. Like, I used to kind of always look at other runners and see what are they doing, which is fine at first, I think, to get a feel for how to run a backyard and how to fuel yourself and things like that. But I've really kind of, what's working for me, and really just focusing on that. So I'm not afraid to do that. I think I would have been more afraid before, that I'm going to mess something up. Mm-hmm. But I think I've gained that confidence that think for myself and, have a plan for myself. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I mean, you can change it. Backyard, if you mess something up, you got another hour to figure it out, and you'll be fine. But I think that's helped me kind of zone in on what's working for me a little bit by not looking at other people so much. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think, and I love that perspective, and I think it's extremely valuable. But also on top of that, you learn so much from running with Harvey, right? And kind of that mindset shift. So in your conversations at Queeny, was there anything that came up in conversation where you're like, oh, like, I didn't think about it that way. Maybe I need to change something up or kind of switch my mindset on how I'm looking at something based on what someone said?
Not necessarily at Queeny.
Okay.
Definitely like with Harvey at Ohio, that was a major click in my brain as to how to approach running, but backyards in general, specifically, I think. But not necessarily at Queeny. Sorry.
No, that's completely fine. So let's say it's almost April. Mm-hmm. What is, I know you kind of talked about doing some faster paces, a little bit of kind of like marathon training.
Yeah.
What is your approach going into bigs? Like, is there anything you need to sort out or kind of work on leading up to the race?
So we talked about how it's very flat here
Yep.
in Noblesville, Indiana. So knowing that I've never run on Big's course, but knowing I've seen plenty of footage and
Yeah.
things like that, so and other people's accounts, so I know it's technical. Elevation wise, it was very similar to Queeny. Queeny had about 450 feet of elevation each
Okay.
yard. So, I've got to make some trips to some trails where I can get some more technical miles in with some elevation. So that's definitely going to be something as we get closer that is going to be, which is a lot easier, I'd say, to do in the summer and fall than it is
Yeah.
going to be in the winter. It was just, when I planned on going to do some trails and get some miles on some hills, like we got 12 inches of snow and then it was sub-zero temperatures. So it's like, I'm not doing that then. So that's got to be a change, I think, for sure. And I'm a very durable runner, but I still think I want to start very soon. Just some weight training a little bit, just to hopefully add to that durability aspect and strength. Those are the main things. But yeah, I want to have a good showing. I want to prepare. I think what I don't want to do and what you could easily run into doing is preparing too much, doing too much, and just either injuring yourself or coming in just totally cooked and you make it 100 miles or so and then you're done.
Yeah.
Like I don't want that. I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to caution myself against that. But I'm going to continue just to build on what I've already done but I do want to add, like I said, some more elevation and strength work in there.
Is there, of the people that already kind of have their spot at Biggs, is there anyone specific that you're looking forward to meeting or running with?
Well, once again, I haven't really looked at who is
okay.
definitely in. I do know that, like, talking to Nick and Stephanie, like they were mentioning, I do follow, like, Mark Dowdle. I know
Yes. Yep.
so I follow him online. He seems like an interesting guy that I would like to talk to. Of course, meeting Harvey again and sharing some miles with him. Dave, I don't know how you pronounce his last name, starts with a K. Kwiatkowski or something like that. I don't remember his name. Yeah. He has messaged me offering to help and, maybe jump on a Zoom call and talk about Biggs and the course and things like that. So the fact that there's already people, like, congratulating me and offering to help shows me, like, it's important to them. They want a good showing. And so they want to do whatever they can to help me help the team.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
looking forward to that.
What does, I know you said, like, before maybe 2025 in Ohio when you ran with Harvey, you didn't really have Biggs on your radar as something that you could do.
Yeah.
What does this mean to you?
Man, it's important. Like it's a big deal to me because it's something I've kind of followed along, and I've kind of settled into this backyard. I've run quite a few backyards recently, to the neglect of, like, other races that I would have normally run, I think. And so, once I won our backyard here in Noblesville, which qualified me for Queeny, I was like, well, I'm going to give this all I got. I'm going to put in the training. I want to, I had big plans. I was going to revamp my diet, and I was going to do strength training. I didn't revamp my diet or do strength training, but I did put in the work as far as the running goes. And so, like, I've put a lot of work into this. Like, I've put a lot of time. I wake up most days at 4:30 and I'm running 10 miles before work, and then getting to school at 7 o'clock in the morning. So to put in the work and to see results is big, but also just to be able to run for the United States, like at Biggs, is surreal. Like, I mean, that's not, like I said, it's something I definitely didn't see myself doing. I don't know if I've honestly, like I finally got my confirmation from Biggs yesterday, so it became like totally real.
Yeah.
And I kind of had some butterflies in my stomach. So I know it's gonna be hard. I think not to over focus on it a little bit. Like I need to enjoy my summer as well. Like, but I do want to put in the work, and I'm excited to do it. So it's big. Like I just, my kids, my students, they get to see that you set a goal, you put in work, and you reach that goal. It's rewarding. So that's the word I would use to describe it. Very rewarding.
What grade or subject do you teach?
Fourth grade, so
Okay.
all the subjects. Yeah.
Okay. So, what are some things that your students are saying, like about you doing this huge thing that they probably can't even wrap their heads around?
Yeah, they don't. I don't talk about it too much. Like in September, at the beginning of the school year, I ran the one here in Prairie on Fire here in Noblesville, and won that. They didn't even know I was running it. Like I didn't tell them. Like I just. But once they found out, they wanted to know. They wanted to ask questions. They wanted to figure this out. So they knew that I was running this one. So yeah, they were interested, asking questions, and just really excited. Like when I got back, once they knew I won, and they were a couple of parents were following along, and the teachers were following along at my school as well. So the kids kind of knew they were where I was and how many people were left and everything. So it was fun.
That is fun. So before we wrap up today, I have 2 questions that I've been asking all of the backyard runners. The first one is, what advice do you have for runners who are hesitant to try a backyard ultra?
Yeah, I think it's the perfect event for someone who's newer or are unsure, because you get to run for most people it's a pretty relaxed pace, or at least not challenging at first. Yep. Of course it gets challenging for everyone, so it's easy until it's not, right? Mm-hmm. But it's if you want to set a distance goal, it's the perfect format for that. And if you're worried about it, just know that there's going to be other runners out there that are just dying to talk to you and to pull you along and to keep you going when you're not sure if you can. Like, it's the best people I meet are ultra runners, and they're mostly in backyards. Like, they are the absolute kindest. Harvey Lewis is still the kindest person I think I've ever met in my life. Like, I kind of thought his niceness that you see, like how congenial he is, like on social media, was probably an act. It is not an act. Like, he is an awesome person. If you ever get a chance to meet him, like, do it. You won't regret it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely on the list to meet and talk to.
Yeah.
And my second question is, if you could fuel with one source for the duration of your backyard ultra, and this could be completely ridiculous, realistic, whatever, what would you fuel with?
Well, if you ask me after Queeny, it would be rice pudding. Before Queeny, it wasn't on my radar. So it just tasted so good and went down so easily that it was perfect. Unreasonable, like straight pizza all day. Like, I would eat pizza if I could. And I did eat a couple slices of pizza.
Okay, that was my question.
Yeah. But I couldn't do it every time.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Definitely in spurts. Yeah.
I think pizza during a backyard tastes so good in the middle of the night.
Yes.
The second backyard that I ran, they had, I don't know if you have Godfather's Pizza.
I've heard of it.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever had it.
Yeah, so they had Godfather's Pizza delivered in the middle of the night, and this race is like 5 hours away from where I live, and our Godfathers had closed down, gosh, when I was in high school. So
Gotcha.
Now 15 years ago. So having a piece of Godfather's at midnight after 15 years was about the best thing ever.
It brought back everything.
Yes.
Food does taste so much better during an ultra, though.
It does.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Jeff. I love this conversation. I love just hearing more about your backyard experience and how Queeny went for you. And we are all going to be cheering for you in October. I'm so excited just to follow along, see what your experience is like.
Thank you.
Can you tell everyone how they can follow you?
I need to be more active on social media. My wife keeps telling me that.
Hey, maybe she can be your social media manager.
There you go. So she's offered. I'm just not good at putting myself out there.
Yeah.
I'm most active on Instagram at JCP Walker, but if you message me, I will get back to you. Maybe not the fastest at that, but I plan on being faster at responding to people.
I love it. I will put your handle in the show notes so everyone can follow you. But thank you again. And for our listeners, if you are listening to this and if you ever have wondered if you belong in the Backyard Ultra world, just remember that you do not have to have it figured out. You do not have to plan everything.
No.
And until next time, just remember to go one more hour or even one more step. Thanks for tuning in to One More Hour. If you enjoyed this episode, hit follow so you don't miss the next yard. And share it with a runner who loves pushing their limits. I'd love to hear your own stories of going one more. Connect with me on Instagram at the One More Hour Podcast. And if you could leave a quick review, it'll help more runners find the show and keep going when they want to stop. Until next time, just go one more hour.